pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson into the white of Brown goes in to score.
Ali Salvia down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're gonna win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
We're on Surly Talk Sports, live in the saddle, early doors post a famous New South Wales victory. How bloody good was that? Origin football at its finest. Of course, we'll tuck into that more shortly in greater detail. Do a bit of a deep dive to start off the show before getting into your NRL, Super Rugby, weekly wrap, punting, and all those good things. Speaking of punting, of course, Surly Talk Sports brought to you by the TAB, and the bonus cash code this week is bunker. So chuck that code in before you have a flutter on any NRL games, first, second or third try scorer, and if your player doesn't score, you'll get your money back in bonus cash up to $20. So again, the code is bunker. Chuck that in. First, second or third try scorer bet in any NRL game. You can only do it once, and if your player doesn't score, you'll get your money back up to $20. You could go Warriors, Bunnies. You could go earlier in the week, have a swing at a poo slinger, Dragons, Knights, see if you can hit in that, fill up the kitty for the rest of the weekend. Whatever your strategy is, chuck that code in. Hopefully green ticks on bet slips, and away you go from there. Appreciate the TAB. Their support is unreal. It's always unwavering. They've pretty much been with us from day one, so get around them. Always gamble responsibly as well, and remember, it's R18 and only bet within your means. But a lot to get through on today's show, so without further ado, I reckon we rip straight into her and that beautiful performance from the mighty Blues last night. How good. Up the Blues, we will not lose. 18 points to 6. She was a Suncorp ambush. Back-to-back wins now at Suncorp Stadium. Of course, Game 3 last year and then Game 1 this year. It's no longer a fortress, no longer a place we fear. The Blues era is here. And what a game this was in all seriousness. I thought it was a really high-quality clash. And just again, a great example of when you put, 34 of some of the best players in the competition, or the best Aussie has to offer anyway, all on the paddock in the one game. The skill level, the physicality, the intensity, the fatigue, it all just goes up another notch. And even if you're a mutual fan watching this game, I think you would have sat back and realised that shit, we're watching some of the best to do it, go at it here for 80 minutes, and what a pleasure it was. I thought the first 25 minutes of this game was a frantic pace. The fatigue for both sides was huge. Thought the Blues shot out the gate and certainly got the better of the start, and Queensland flipped the momentum there around that 50 to 20 minute mark, and I thought the Blues were on the ropes a little bit. I was yelling at the screen, at the TV at full time to kick the ball out. Let's get a break in. For me, going into this game, I thought Queensland's plan would be to keep the ball in play, smaller forward pack, try and bring fatigue onto a big New South Wales side, and this is what I thought was unfolding right in front of my eyes. Luckily then though, bit of critter brilliance, and we strike for the first try of the game. Zachy Lomax in the corner to score his first of 2. Geez, those New South Wales outside backs, man, did they have themselves a day. And there were some standout performers all across the paddock for both sides, which I'll touch on shortly. Second Blues try came off the back of a beautiful touch from Latrell Mitchell, a mid-air pass for a try. Started with a Harry Grant error, and I'll touch more on Harry shortly, but shit was he off in this one. Came into this game with only 50-odd minutes under his belt over the past 6 weeks, in a game that the Storm lost against the Sharks too. I thought he might come in a little bit underdone. I didn't expect this type of performance from him though. I thought he'd rise to the Origin occasion because he's a bloody good footballer, but I thought he really struggled in this game, and at times I thought he was one of the best for the Blues, not for Queensland, which is incredibly rare to say about him. Set restart too, first one in the 29th minute of this game, which just shows the quality that was played, but then Latrell mid-air pass shifts flips it to Brian To'o. The white headgear goes in the corner. Another massive performance from Bizza. And this was Latrell's best moment of the game, to be fair. He did have a bad one in the second half. That error he came up with from Jeremiah Nanai shooting out and putting a shot on him. That was probably something that wasn't great from Latrell. I thought post that he really fired up, though, got into the physical stuff, and overall had a strong performance. But this mid-air pass, a nice little tip on to To'o, that was elite skill level right there. Our third try right before halftime. For me, this was a killer blow. Queensland on the ropes, giving away back-to-back penalties, and Lomax, he gets himself another. Hammer, well aware of the threat of Critter, he jams in, nice little soft hands, and in goes Lomax. I will say, first try from Lomax, the old blow a kiss to the crowd, that was a nice touch. It did make me nervous at the time that perhaps that footage would come back to hurt us at full time. Queensland always so capable of pulling off comebacks, but into Oranges we went, up 14 points to 2. That To'o error into a penalty and sin bin right on halftime. I thought that could have proved crucial. In saying that, though, I think the penalty was possibly the best outcome. If To'o doesn't tackle him in the air, I think there is genuinely a 70% chance that Xavier Coates at least scores that try. I don't think it was penalty try because you can't guarantee that he was going to score. Do think Sinbin was fair, although what is To'o meant to do in all honesty? But not with my Blues bias cap on. I do think it was a binning. Queensland take the 2. Into Oranges they go down 14 points to 2. And at the time I was saying to everyone around me, this feels like it should be a 20 point to 2 type of outcome. And yes, that was down to our missed goal kicks. I think we missed 5 last night in total, which is not like Cleary and certainly not like Lomax from right in front as well. But I was thinking heading into halftime, this lead did not reflect the dominance of the Blues in that first half, and that had me incredibly nervous because so many times I've had my heart broken by Queensland sides who just come back. I think even, was it Freddie Fittler or someone in the commentary said 17 times Queensland have been down at halftime and they have come back to win. I thought that was setting the stage for another famous comeback. Luckily though, after halftime, the second 40, the Blues' defensive efforts didn't stop. I thought Stephen Crichton was locked down throughout this whole game. The work he did on the hammer was elite. That play there where he just let him have his run, have his moments, then decides his perfect time to initiate contact, gets underneath him, drags them over the sideline. That was a massive momentum swinger. Nanai then forced that Latrell error off the back of that scrum, and Coates goes in to score when we are a man down. But overall, I thought we navigated that period pretty well. I loved what we did, switching Lomax over to that wing, then letting Crichton just control that edge defensively by himself. The way he moves laterally and backwards, when the other team has overlaps, we call it a jockey in rugby union. I'm not sure what they call it in league, probably something similar, but he never looks panicked, and I reckon it's his wingspan and his ability to move sideways. When he spreads his arms out, he looks like he's about 7 foot. His levers are that long. Giannis Antetokounmpo type of stuff from him. And he just never looks frazzled. He looks so comfortable moving sideways or backwards, makes great decisions defensively too. A couple times he shot up and just executed a bootlace tackle perfectly. And I was just in awe of Crichton throughout this whole game, but more on him shortly. Then the final try of the game, Zachy Lomax jumps up, takes it one-handed, what a freak, then flicks it off to Connor Watson, who pulls off an over-the-head offload for Dylan Edwards to score and land the final blow. I would have loved one of the boys to bang one between the sticks throughout this game. As I mentioned, 5 missed kicks. Cleary, he didn't have it going all night, and then neither did Lomax. I do wonder, though, 2 quality kickers, and so often the question gets raised about the Suncorp surface. Was it a bit slippery on top of the ground? Although beautiful conditions, really. Sun was out during the day, so can you come up with an excuse like that? Valentine Holmes didn't struggle to bang one over from the sideline either, so perhaps that's just a fellow goal kicker clutching at straws and looking at excuses for our boys. Overall though, I thought New South Wales very good. The dominant side, scoreline probably flattered Queensland a little towards the end, although at times they certainly had us in positions where I expected them to score. For me, it just looked like Queensland lacked a bit of that killer blow. And yes, they do have threats in their side, but so many of them are out of form at the moment. I thought Ponga was non-existent. I thought DCE struggled. And I thought Harry Grant, probably his worst game at State of Origin level. That's 3 out of your 4 spine players really not looking themselves. I thought Munster tried hard and he looked dangerous when he had the ball. He was into everything. But 3 of their biggest threats just not firing for me at the moment. A talent like Ponga, every time he gets the ball, you can't help but be a little nervous. But I thought he offered pretty much fuck all in this game. I was surprised at how little pill the hammer got as well, although maybe he did get ball. Crichton was just smothering him defensively. I just think New South Wales did a great job of nullifying the weapons of Queensland, and I do think at times Queensland, they just looked like they weren't as dangerous. They didn't pack as much strike as they have in previous years. I thought Coatsy was really good. Tommy Dearden a standout. I thought when he came on the paddock, he was so good. His work out of dummy half, his running game, his nice little touches, his ball playing is great, and defensively, he is as tough as they come. I was begging for Queensland to bring Harry Grant back on and take Dearden off, because I think you looked your best with that fella in the 9 jersey, that's for sure. I thought Tino Fa'asuamaleaui was unreal. His first stint in particular, him and Haas going at it hammer and tongs, that certainly lived up to the hype. He is a massive human being, and for me, those two, Tino and Haas, man of the match Haas, more on him shortly, but for me, they just personify what the modern day forward is. 2 of the best athletes we have seen to play in the front row. Big bodies, tall, still 110 to 120 kilos, athletic as fuck though. They can run over the top of you, they can run around you, they can ball play too. And I thought Tino was massive in this game, and I look forward to those 2 going at it across this whole series. Also, shout out to Rob Toya. Had a couple moments there. Latrell did get the better of him, but overall they were few and far between. I thought he was really good defensively, held his own for majority of this game, and I thought he was also pretty good on attack. A great debut for a 20-year-old kid with only 10 NRL games under his belt. No doubt he was shitting bricks heading into this one, and I think he will be so much better for the trot too. This kid has a massive future. For New South Wales, the standouts, they were a few more than what Queensland had. I thought Crichton was my man of the match. Yes, Haas got it, and fair enough too, laid a massive platform for the lads, and the whole New South Wales forward pack was really good too. I thought Mitch Barnett's first stint was inspiring. Hudson Young off the bench, thought he had a massive impact. The bloke just came into this game like a cut snake. He was just into everything. Energy, bumping players off left, right and centre, bit of grubbiness on defence. Great to see. I was a little worried there when Laurie Daly hadn't used him in the first 60 odd minutes. I thought we were going to do another job on him because he's been strangled for opportunities at the Origin level, but I think we used him perfectly really on reflection. But back to Crichton, for me, he was the MVP in this game. Not just his defence, but his attack as well. He glides, he set up that first try for Lomax. The third try came off how aware of a threat they were for him. To think that he headed into this game not 100% with a bit of a cork in his thigh, if that was him operating at 80, then fuck, the thought of him playing at 100% is so scary. And the fact that he's only just turned 24 is unreal. At least 6 to 7 more years dominating the Origin stage. Fuck me is Critter a rugby league footballer. Zachy Lomax, for me, he was close behind. He got my second 2 points in the man of the match ladder. Just again, his presence, his work out of yardage, him and To'o both running over 210 run metres. To'o, 228 metres in 70 minutes. That is crazy. And I thought their work out of our own end to start our sets was a massive point of difference in this game. So often we started our sets in good field position. Those two would truck nut, get us over halfway in the first 2 tackles. Then our kicking game, our halves, I thought they were great too. Moses and Cleary, both of them, their running games were on. Cleary with 10 tackle breaks. That is insane from him. And Moses looked dangerous every time he touched the ball. Defensively, they were both great too. Their kicking games, they missed the mark a couple times in the second half on short kicks, but I thought their long long kicking games were great, and they controlled where we handed the ball over. We were making Queensland bring it out of their own 10 or 20, basically in every set. But thanks to the work of Lomax and To'o, it felt like every time we started our sets, we were on the front foot. Momentum is a massive thing, and our two wingers, they did so well out of yardage. Lomax too, he has those polished plays, right? That one-handed catch to lead to that Dylan Edwards try. That was crazy to think that's a bloke who's only played 80 minutes in the last 8 weeks heading into this game. I thought he was massive. The past year, his game has just gone from leaps and bounds ever since he moved on to the wing, and it's good to see he's accepted now that he is a genuine rugby league winger. What a performance from that lad. I mentioned To'o there. I thought he was unreal as well. Just his work, yardage, his carries, leg speed, 85 odd PCMs, just so hard to tackle. He gives us such an oomph to start our sets. That's the best word to give him. To'o equals oomph. Unreal. Overall, though, I thought everyone in the Blues really stood out, and you could wax lyrical about the performances of basically all of the side. Liam Martin, his running stats don't look amazing, but his kick chase, those little origin plays he makes, I thought he was great. Spencer Leniu was into them. I thought when Queensland didn't kick the ball off to him to start the second half, that was a real mental battle win for New South Wales. You could see Spencer was blowing up Deluxe about it too. Looked like he was calling them pussies. He wanted to back fence it, which is what Origin is all about. Queensland, the Cats, though, they see he's on, they decide to change their kick-off set structure and kick the other way. Mate, that's a mental win right there for the mighty Blues. Overall, a great game, though. Two quality sides going at it, and I do think New South Wales were pretty by far the better side. Don't get me wrong, there were still moments in that second half, especially in the last 10 minutes, where I was a little nervous that somehow Queensland could pull this one off. For me, the rest of the series, heading into Perth, I actually reckon we pumped Queensland, so Maroons fans won't be happy to hear that. Perth, historically, not a happy hunting ground for the Maroons. The Blues love going there, and I think we wrap up the series 3-0 in Sydney. Jeez, I reckon it's brooms out season, and of course I'm incredibly biased, but I just think we're the better side at the moment. I think we left points out there as well. I can't see where Queensland are going to be able to turn this around. There's not exactly players they can call up at the moment to make themselves the better side than the Blues. So for me, it's brooms out, sweep season on the way. Up the mighty New South Wales Blues. Laurie Daly, Craig Bellamy, they get the job done. A hissing performance from the boys. All 17 delivered. Never been more proud. Suncorp is now blue. Back-to-back games. Get that up, you filthy Maroons fans. Bye-week footy, fuck me, is it a roller coaster, and I feel like every year after this bye-week period, this first one for Origin, I come out thinking, Surly, remind yourself next year to back the underdogs, because it is always chaos and results never go as they're expected to go, but still I back in the favourites for these games, and shit did I pay the price. I went 0 from 5 in my tipping, as I think the majority of people probably did. I've seen a few people go maybe 1 or 2 from 5. If you tip the perfect round, let me know, because clearly either you know something I don't, or you know nothing about footy and just swang for the back fences with your heart, and shit would you have got rewarded at the TAB if you'd multied up all those dogs in those games. I think Dolphins 13 plus was paying up to $11 at one stage. Shit, there would have been some juicy multis floating around if you had that on your bet slip. But on that game, of course, Thursday night, it kicked off the chaos, really, and this should have been an omen for the rest of the round. Dolphins 44, Dogs 8 at Accor Stadium, a massive shift from the Finns, probably one of their best wins in their club's young history. Of course, the Dogs down on troops for sure. Origin footy affected them, plus suspensions and injuries. The Finns, though, without Hammer, Gilbert out injured as well, and they just went to work in the wet. I thought Herbie Farnworth was elite, especially when you factor in that he was in hospital with a nasty Susan boil, a bit of an infection, the old boil. geez, they can be bloody painful. He didn't state where it was. I'm guessing in the lower half of his rig. He was on a hospital bed until game day. Checked himself out that day, scored a meaty for his efforts too. She finished up 7 tries to 1, a clinic of how to play in the wet. 80% completion rate for the Finns compared to the Dogs at 60%. Interesting point to note as well on the Doggies. Both of their losses have come in wet weather conditions. Of course, this game at a core, and then it was pissing down against the Broncos when they got towed up at Suncorp as well, and they haven't played well or been close in either of those games, so perhaps that is their kryptonite. The Dogs don't like it in the wet. Shout out to Joshy Curran though, a massive shift for him, returning for suspension, clearly a chip on his shoulder, made 60 tackles in this loss, has rewarded himself with a trip to Bali as well, so shout out to you, Horse. Hopefully you're enjoying your cheeky little bye week. Friday night footy saw the Eels trounce Manly 30 points to 10. Not too much to say about this one. The Eels turned it on without Lomax and Moses to beat a much stronger Manly side on paper. The standouts for me, Isaiah Yongi, 65 run meters, a try. He looked great at the back, as did young Joash on debut. I thought Jack Williams went really well at prop. He's, of course, used to be a second rower, so he runs some great lines. He's deadly with ball in hand, a big body, looks like a gym junkie. No doubt he can throw some tin around, and he moves really well. He's pretty rapid too. His shift into the middle has been massive for Para. The main standout for me, though, has to be footy Dean Hawkins. 4 try assists and 640 kick meters in the 7 jersey. If you don't know the backstory, basically his teammates call him Footy Dean. I think his nickname is actually just straight up Footy. Back in the day when he was younger, he used to have a YouTube channel where he'd just do rugby league trick shots like flick passing a Steadon into a bin, all that type of real sicko rugby league purist stuff you do when you're a kid. Apparently the YouTube channel is still up and operating. Old Dean's been trying to get it taken down for years because every club he goes to, his teammates just absolutely rinse him. But shout out to Footy Dean. A clinic here up against a Manly goals side that was just so disappointing. I thought Jazz was great at lock, 65 fantasy points as well. I'd love to see him play more there. Even when Jake Trbojevic is back from concussion, play him at prop and let the bald eagle go to work. Apart from that though, I expected Brooks to step up and play that dominant playmaker role with no DCE, but he didn't do bugger all. Turbo thought he looked better than the week before. Of course, it's come out now that he's dealing with a thigh cork and not playing this week. He's still far from his best, and I really do hope that this week off helps him get back to close to that. Would love to see him play his way into this New South Wales Origin side, but at the moment, to be honest, he just looks a bit of a shell of himself. Tough times for Manly fans at the moment. You'd have to think brighter times are on the horizon. Ever since this whole DCE news has come out, they have been pretty lousy, and they will be desperate for a dub this weekend. Super Saturday kicked off with a poo slinger. Knights vs Panthers in Bathurst, home of the V8 supercars, and I have to say, the camera angle in this game, the venue, it made it look like it was a pre-season clash, real B-grade stuff, and the quality of this game actually reminded me of pre-season challenge footy as well. Pretty crazy scenes though, the Knights scoring 25 points to win this game. Their attack looked the best it has basically all season, largely thanks as well to the efforts of 2 lads. Fletcher Sharp at the back, he was crazy, and then Dylan Lucas, who had a first half hat-trick, almost had 4, tried to get a little tricky off the back of a line break, tried to gas the fullback in the corner, the old DWZ dive, and he couldn't quite dot down. No doubt he regrets that one. For me, he's a real Origin smoky. If there are any injuries in that second row, he can play centre as well, makes him a great option on the bench. That kid can play. Big question that arises from this one though. Do you keep Fletcher Sharp at fullback? I see they've resisted that urge this week. Ponga, he's looked pretty disinterested though. Sharp, the opposite in this game. 272 run meters, 4 line breaks, 15 tackle breaks. Looked like the Mark Talia of rugby league, the slipperiest man in the comp. Rocks a hissing mullet too. That literally ticks every criteria for a rugby league superstar. Do they try the Pongata 6 experiment again? Mix things up a little bit. Sometimes when you have a superstar player like that in your side, you just try play the way that they want to play, and it takes away from your other great attacking threats. Whereas a Fletcher Sharp, he just plays a bit of fuck it footy, chances his hand, runs hard, non-stop, half breaks. He'll just pin his ears back and make something happen from nothing. And I do think there could be some merit into Adam O'Brien potentially toying around with whoever wears that fullback jersey. The Panthers, trouble for them. Last on the ladder. Pretty crazy to think they missed 50 tackles in this game. They looked piss poor yet again. This origin period is going to be really tough for them to navigate as well. From going 4 championships on the trot to a wooden spoon contender. I don't think they'll win the spoon, but the fact that they're just even in that sentence, that idea is being thrown around, is pretty crazy. I hope all of their players can back up this week, or they could be over. They have to win 9 of the last 12, the experts are saying, and if they lose these games in the origin period, then it's good night nurse for them. Roosters 42, Sharks 16, massive win for the Chooks, up against the Sharks side, missing no one for origin. And we've got this full Sharks experience over the last fortnight, haven't we? They beat a full-strength Melbourne Storm side last week to convince everyone, get them back on board. They are the real deal this year. Adam Fanua-Blake has come in and made them a true title contender. And then they lose to an understrength Roosters side by 26 points. Look, credit to the Chooks. They were on. Teddy, exceptional. Victor Radley, one of his best games in his career on his 150th as well. Love that t-shirt they presented him post-game as well. 150 games, 38 concussions, 26 send-offs, 6,852 beers. That's some pretty good banter. I reckon he's probably light on the beers. I reckon he's deleted more than those as well. Looks like a mad dog. And I also reckon he's light on the 38 concussions. I think he'll be pushing close to 50. I do see, though, the Roosters were made to delete that post off Instagram. The old concussion experts fired up about that. And probably fair enough, too. It's not something you should really be joking about. But still, if you see the banter in it, then you got to have a little bit of a laugh. The standout for me, though, credit to him, Hugo Savala. A massive performance from him, and I think his season this year has gone pretty under the radar. Had 2 great try assists for Daniel Tupou. They looked almost identical. You could have fooled yourself for thinking you were watching an instant replay on the both of them. Nice little nudge on a dime for the Giraffe, the best leaper in rugby league, and Daniel Tupou to dot down. He scored a try himself as well. He has a massive future on him, this kid, and I'll be interested to see what happens when they sign DCE. Sam Walker back in the 6. Hugo Savala, I think he's played a bit of lock as well. He's a big body. Maybe they push him into the pack. For me, he's too good to leave out of your 17, though. So Robbo with a nice little problem on his hand right there. And then Super Sunday, of course, the last game of the round, and it was a barnstormer. Warriors, unfortunately, going down to the green machine, 16 points to 10. It was heartbreaking stuff. Hurts more to lose to those Pelicans as well. They were playing up deluxe at full time. Horsburgh with the fingers to the crowd. Hot Tamale taking the piss out of the Mana wave. That bloke has to be humble for me. Had a pretty decent game, came up with a lot of errors as well. And then to be acting like that in only your first proper year in the NRL. Horsburgh, he's a hothead, we know it. Ranger, firecracker. Joe Tapine, he was dishing it out too. He's earned that right. Kiwi lad, enforcer. He can do the wah-wah because he was walking the walk. But Tamale, for me, just stay in your lane, son. And if I'm Andrew Webster, and I know he's not this type of operator, but personally, shit, if I'm the players, if I'm Fisher Harris and co, I'm banking that footage and I'm saving it for a rainy day in case we come up against them again in finals footy. I'll be playing that on every overhead projector if those things still exist. Every screen in the facility, that footage on loop, just firing the boys up and really putting a target on that bloke's head. But overall, enjoyed this game. Thought it was a tough physical encounter between two sides that like getting in the grind and two forward packs that really pride themselves in that area. There's no denying Joseph Tapine really rattled a few cages. Kiwi international, would have loved to have seen if he acted that way with James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett out there, but good on them. It was almost like when your dad goes away at home, so your big brother decides to really push the boundaries. He becomes the man of the house and gets away with a bit more than what he would normally do if the old boy wasn't there to keep him in line. That's how I felt about this performance from Tapine. Love when he does it in a Kiwis jersey. Didn't love it as much when he did it against us, but still you have to respect it. He's one of those guys, big body, physical as, and you know what you're getting from him every week. He never backs down, and he said post-game too, just playing in New Zealand in front of friends and family, this game meant a little more to him. He's someone I would love to see lace up at Mount Smart one day with that Warriors logo on his left tit. Big Joey Taps, though, he was lucky not to spend some time in the sin bin alongside Corey Horsburgh and Tommy Starling. I thought the refereeing at times was really bad for both sides, both teams copping some pretty harsh calls, and I thought they had way too much of an impact on this game. It was a high-quality contest, though. The Warriors, we had our chances as well. 2 10-minute periods where the Raiders were down to 12 men and we couldn't crack them. You flip that on its head, Raiders, they had one period where we were down to 12 and they turned it into points as well. That penalty right on halftime too, offside off the line dropout, that was a coach killer. And then that defensive effort from Morgan Smithies to hold up Marata Niokore with about 2 or 3 minutes to go. That was a massive play as well. So credit to the Raiders. They came to play. They had a game plan and they implemented it as well. Credit to the Warriors boys too. Standouts for me, Jacko Ford, 209 run meters, 43 tackles in 55 minutes. That is a massive knock. Chance, he didn't stop running, over 200 meters for him as well, despite spending 10 minutes in the bin. Wado, 43 tackles. That was his usual performance. And then Aaron Clark, he was really good as he has been this week. That's almost his benchmark now. That's his floor, and we expect at least that shift as a minimum, which is pretty crazy to think about. Still aspects of our game to like, although it's tough to cop a loss. I see these Aussies too barking up that we finally played a good team and lost, and we can only beat the poor sides. That is not a narrative I buy into at all. We are a fucking good football side, and we deserve to be sitting in the top 4. Overall, for me, not a result to panic about. We came up against a physical team that plays a pretty similar style to us. They want to win the middle, they want to complete high, force the opposition into mistakes with defensive pressure. And just on that, 14 errors, 75% completion rate for us. That's probably our lowest in a while. Tough conditions, got to factor that in. Boys were slipping left, right and centre too. Would have loved to have seen some sprigs out there. Not a night for the plastic moulds on Mount Smart, but no doubt that is something Webby and the lads will work on this week. Error rate, getting back to completing high, rolling through our sets, piling on pressure defensively, and we'll be ready to go this Sunday up against the Bunnies. So rolling into this week, round 13, no Thursday night footy tonight. Of course, Origin last night, that whetted the appetite. Tonight we get the night off just to reassess, reprogram ourselves and get ready to go again for Friday night code. Knights versus Dragons, that kicks us off. Can we stop giving the Knights this primetime slot? They were Saturday night main event stuff last week. This week, they get Friday night footy. Hardly a barnstormer of a game. 10th versus 14th as your first game post-Origin. I guess it is what it is. Both teams have bugger all players backing up as well, so it's actually pretty smart stuff from the draw creators to chuck these two poo slingers up. But hey, it's fair to say this game is well and truly one for the purists. Kalen Ponga named to back up. He'll wear the fullback jersey. Fletcher Sharp goes back to 5'8". Leo Thompson, he's back as well. Missed the Panthers game due to an illness, possibly a bad butter chicken. Unconfirmed, all rumours, but that's the narrative I'm going to roll with for the Dragons. They're chasing back-to-back wins for the first time since round 2, and they come in off the back of a bye. They bet the Broncos the week before that, so they will be confident, rested, and ready to rip. I'm not sure which way to go on this one. Bit of a fence sit in all honesty, but I'll probably back the Dragons at home to get the Chockies. Super Saturday, triple header. Strap yourself into the couch. 3 pretty decent games. You love to see it. Titans versus Storm, 5 p.m. kickoff from the Goldie. Possibly a Pahulu revenge game as well. And this signing for me has gone way under the the radar. Of course, Josiah Pahulu, a great player for the Titans last year. He was that bloke who was robbed of his contract incentive, was meant to get paid $30,000 if he played one more game for the Titans last year. They pulled him in the final game of the year, so he didn't tick that box and get the payout. As a result, asked for a release. It's finally been granted, and it just so happens he goes to the Storm, favourites to win the premiership, and his first game for the boys from Melbourne is up against his old side. He is going to be ready to run through a brick wall, and he could prove to be a massive get for them in the middle. Their prop rotation all of a sudden goes Nelson, Stefano Utoikamanu, Tui Kamakamitha, Joshy King, and Pahulu. That is 5 great options for them to roll with, and 5 big bodies as well. Origin stars for both teams named to back up. Storm, they'll be fuming off the back of that loss into a bye. Bellamy would have ran the shit out of them. He would have been physical as fuck with them at trainings. He'll have them up and about and ready to go, and I think they'll just put on a clinic on the Gold Coast. Storm by plenty for me. Cowboys versus Tigers after that, 7:30pm kickoff in Townsville. No Lockie Galvin as expected. He's been told to have the week off, and it's probably the last time you'll see him in Tigers kit, that's for sure. Looks like he's all but signed to the Doggies, effective immediately. A pretty crazy turn of events there. Not sure how he fits into their lineup and what it means for Burden and co positionally. Some chat Crichton would go to fullback, Burden into the centres, Galvin into 6. Then there was chat Burden into fullback, Galvin slots straight into his 6 jersey. Now there's chat Toby Sexton. He is gone. And Reed Marnie is also gone too. Talon De Silva, another one from the Tigers, rumoured to be following Galvin Klein over to the Dogs. But look, this is pretty crazy scenes, really. Not often you see this much change for a team mid-season that's sitting top of the ladder, only lost 2 of their games. So I'll be interested to see how this team handles this, and if it puts a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons and affects their team culture. Also, something interesting to note, you got guys like Luai and that were off Galvin, very good mates with Crichton. I don't think it would drag over into the Dogs environment, but there could be a few lads that are pretty salty on the kid. And all credit to him, though. He did say he wanted to leave the Tigers not for money, but for the opportunity to be in a better system. The Dogs are certainly that, and if the rumours are correct, he's signing for $700K a year, not the 1.1 odd that the Tigers were offering. To turn down $300 to $400 grand a year as a 19-year-old is pretty crazy stuff, so I think we can back him in on his word on that. And shout out to Gus Gould, man, an absolute masterclass in how to manipulate these type of things. The bloke's on a footy show saying that they're not interested in Galvin. Meanwhile, they're just chipping away behind closed doors, not raising any alarms. He's doing his best work, and he gets his guy. I'm not 100% sure if it should be allowed. 100% footy, the name of the show too, so that's quite ironic. But Gussie Gould, he's the godfather of this stuff, and again, he gets himself another star player or a star to be. Really keen to see how Galvin goes at the Dogs. So Heath Mason gets the start for the Tigers. Always struggle to get around players rocking dual first names, Heath and Mason. But good luck to the bloke. He gets first crack at trying to make this jersey his before Finau comes back from injury as well. Talon De Silva named in 22, so maybe he gets one last trot, but I can't see that happening. Rumours are both of these guys will be at the Doggies next week post the bye, so watch this space. Manly versus the Broncos, final game on your Super Sat. This one's at Brookvale, the Bedshit Bowl. 2 teams that are expected to be high flyers coming into this year. 2 stacked rosters. Everyone was saying top 8, maybe top 4, and it turns out both are struggling. Manly, they've won 2 of their last 5. Broncos, 1 of their last 5. No Tommy Turbo for the Gulls. He's out with that cork thigh, as I alluded to before. So Lehigh, son of John, moves to fullback. Tommy Talau onto the wing. Jazz Tavanga stays at lock, which is great for my fantasy team. For the Broncos, Paddy Carrigan, Payne in the Haas, both named to back up at this stage. Jesse Hotboy Arthurs, he moves to fullback. Selwyn Cobbenco switching to the wing. An interesting play there from Madge. I'm surprised the Broncos, they haven't played at Brookvale since 2014. 11 years, which shows how little the NRL makes their glamour side travel. Pretty crazy stat though, and also they've won 7 of their last 10 against Manly, so keep that in mind. They certainly have the upper hand in terms of stats. Fence sit season for me on this one, though. I think it should be an interesting game to watch. I'm keen to see how it unfolds as well. Two sides desperate for the 2 points. It's almost all or nothing. Time to empty the tank for these two, although in saying that, the ladder is logjam season. I think between, 6th and 14th, there's literally 2 or 4 points separating them. You'd have to Google it yourself. I'm just running off the top of the dome here. But basically, there's 2 wins separating you and that narrative from being a good side to being a shit side. So it's certainly not too late for these teams to turn it around. Tough comp this year, and it shows on the ladder. Super Sunday, game of the round. How good? 4 p.m. kickoff from a core, Bunnies versus Waz, the venue that we famously slapped them last year, clapped them cheeks, 34 points to 4, and what was probably one of our best performances of 2024. I'm really looking forward to this, and I think we're going to repeat that shift that we put in April last year. A few changes for Webby. Fish and Barney back. Love that. The Bash Bros ready to dominate the middle alongside Aaron Clark, the old trifecta of terror, as I will now dub them. Those three, they will just go hammer and tongs for as long as they are on the park. Also ensures the Bunnies big boppers, guys like Keon and co, can't do what Tapane and that did last week, because Keon's last performance here, I think it was over 300 run meters up against the Tigers, so keen for that to be nipped in the bud. In the backs, Rocco Berry, bootlace back, named at centre, so Ali Lautoa drops down to New South Wales Cup. A little bit harsh. Ali, talented footballer, especially on attack, but it just goes to show the depth we have in our squad, and perhaps the fact Webby and that, they're prioritising Bootlace's defence. They've gone with him as he's the safer option defensively out there on the edge. Both great footballers, so for me, it's a win-win, and it's good to see Rocco back. Really keen to see how Ali goes in a stacked New South Wales Cup team as well. Then in the pack, Leka drops back to the bench. Wouldn't be surprised if he does start. Marata moves into that bench middle role, so keep an eye on that one closer to kickoff. Also, not relevant to this game, but I do think I want to point it out. Great to see Tanner Boyd take up his player option to stay at the Warriors next year. There was a lot of chat around the Cows being interested in him to play the 9 or 7, either straight away this year or definitely next year. Instead, though, he's decided to stay, locked in for next year, clearly loving life in New Zealand and wants to go around again in 2026 at the Warriors. So well done to Tanner Boyd. For the Bunnies, Latrell Mitchell named to back up, so expect to see him at the back. Otherwise, it's a pretty settled lineup for them. I'm looking forward to that battle between Humphreys and Metcalf as well. The Delhi M leader, Lukey Metcalf, in the 7s. That should be a goodie for me. I think we'll have too much in the duffel for the Bunnies. The returns of Fish and Barnett will be massive, and I think even though Barney will probably play less minutes off the back of a physical Origin clash, I still think our forward pack will lay the platform for our lads to play, and will just be too good, too gritty, too tough, and too dangerous for a very good but also fringe top 8 Bunnies side. I just backed the Warriors this year. I trust us, and I really do think there was nothing in that game last year. If anything, it showed that we're a bloody good side because we weren't at our best, down troops, and we still pushed the second best team on the comp according to the ladder. So up the fucking Warriors, go get the chocolates, boys. Looking forward to that one on a great time slot ahead of a public holiday on Monday too. Could be a dangerous little weekend for a bender. Got the old Northcote court session Saturday night, so looking forward to that. Dangerous times, that's for sure. Panthers versus Eels, 6 p.m. following it, 15th versus 17th. Who would have thought? For the Panthers, Edwards, To'o, Cleary, Yo, Martin, they should all be a huge boost if they back up. And no doubt the lads from the Rith, they would have been on edge all week, just waiting for another opportunity to try and bounce back from that embarrassing loss to the Knights. For the Eels, Moses, Lomax, they return from Origin footy, so Footy Dean, he drops out into the reserves. Tough scenes there. Good to see young Joash, though. He gets his spot on the bench. Impressive debut for him last week, so really keen to see how they use him. Rolls must have a bit of a master plan because it's not often you see a wing/fullback in the 17 jersey. For Penrith, she's do or die almost, like I mentioned before. Para, they can really play party poopers here, get one up over their arch rivals as well, and they'll be feeling confident to do so after a good win last week. They go into this one against a struggling side that you still have to think is pretty dangerous in the Panthers if they finally do hit their straps. There's going to be a bee's dick in this game. Para for the upset, juicy odds. I still find it hard to tip against Penrith. And then the final game of the weekend, Roosters-Raiders, 8:15. Looking forward to this one. Chooks, they welcome back their Origin lads as well. Lindsay Collins, Spencer Leniu, Connor Watson, Rob Toyer, Angus Crichton, all set to back up. Dommy Young goes to 18th man. All that chat around him going back to Newcastle seems to have died down lately, so I'll be interested to see if that sparks back up now that he misses out on the 17. Xavier Va'a, he drops out as well. I was really impressed with him last week. And a bit of a side note, just a young lad, of course, was a full-time concreter. Now he's signed a first-grade gig, but apparently he's an unreal boxer as well, and he does sparring sections with Jai Opatai, so fuck messing with him. If there's any push and shove, I'm well and truly running in the wrong direction. But he looks to be another of these young Roosters middle forwards to keep an eye on. For the Raiders, Owen Paddy, he gets his first start of the season for Tom Starling, who misses 2 weeks for that grubby, late, no arms, high shot on Chanel Harris-Davida. Good riddance as well. But Owen Paddy, Guru has huge raps on this bloke, and he could be a good little short-term fantasy buy, plus someone to back in for a meaty. Meet Paddy for an anytime meaty on the TAB. That could be a great play. Huddy Young, he comes back after missing the win against us, so unfortunately, Noah Martin, the man with one of the great mullets, drops out of this team, which I do think hurts them. Always good to have a mulleted menace off the Remu to inject into the game. But 2 teams in good form, both had good wins last week against top 5 teams as well. So this, aside from that Warriors versus Bunnies game, is probably the match of the round for me. Raiders consistent, Roosters up and down, contrasting styles. So I'll be watching this one with interest late on my Sunday night to round out what should be a bloody good round 13 of post-Origin footy. Get up the fucking Warriors. 13 plus all day, baby. Super Rugby, the final round we head into this weekend, and shit did the script writers get this one perfectly. Every game this weekend has playoff ramifications, whether it's seeding in the 6, teams jostling for positions, home quarterfinals, or who they will play next week. And there's 3 teams, all with playoff hopes, still alive. That is unreal. Makes for an exciting finish to what has been a pretty bloody good competition this year. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The emergence of Moana, their improvement this year, has certainly added another notch, but I think not having the Melbourne Rebels in this competition has made it so much more competitive. And how much is on the line heading into this final week is the perfect example of that. Of course, last week, just the 4 games. They were bloody good ones, though. Crusaders, Landers. Crusaders get the win, 15 points to 12 down in Christchurch. They shot out to a fast start, up 10-0 after 15 minutes. And I thought this was going to be a bit of a blowout, to be fair. The Landers, though, I thought they dominated for at least 50 to 60 odd minutes of this game. Looked the better side for a large majority of it. 5 missed shots at goal, ultimately probably the killer for them, including one to send this game to extra time. I thought Tavatava Nawai and Holland were really good. Tavatava Nawai, fuck me. For me, he's no longer just one of those maybe fringe should he make the All Blacks. I reckon you chuck him straight in the mix for sure. No Anton Leonard-Brown for this French series, I would assume. He's in a bit of a race against time. Chuck Big Jim in there. Give him an opportunity in the squad. Proctor gets the start, but Tavatava Nawai in the mix. He won't let you down, and his Super Rugby form certainly deserves it. Good to see him in Holland as well. Both re-sign, both with New Zealand Rugby and, more importantly, with the Landers as well. 2 massive gets for them. Overall, the Crusaders, though, they did what they needed to do, got the dub to keep their hopes of finishing in first alive. They'll need to be better this week, though, to beat the Brumbies over in Canberra. Reds 27, Canes 31. I thought the Canes, crucial period for them, and the winning of this game was that 5 minutes before Oranges. They won those minutes, scored 2 meaties. The Reds headed in with their tail between their legs. I thought the Reds were the better second half team, but the damage had already been done. Proctor, unreal. Mentioned him just then. Shit, is he elite at the moment since coming back from injury. Limited games in Super Rugby. Was loving his combo with Riley Higgins, but unfortunately he was ruled out for the rest of the season at the start of last week. week. A big blow for the Canes in playoff footy because that midfield was dynamic, but I thought Proctor was outstanding here. He just glides. His ball running is elite. His distribution is great too. So solid defensively. He was at his best. Cammy Roygaard thought he owned some massive moments in this game and again cemented himself as New Zealand and one of the best nines in the world. Ruben Love thought he controlled the game really well. And then that loose forward duo of Peter Lakai and Duplessis Karifi, they were massive. Again, two guys saying to Razor, look at me. Duplessis for his All Blacks debut, I think he's earned that this year. His work at the breakdown is crazy and just the energy and leadership he brings to this team is massive. And then Peter Lakai, of course, already an All Black, but he's pushing for more minutes. And could he make that number 8 jersey his? Push Artie to 7, Wallace Satiti at 6. Satiti, Lakai, Artie, that is the trio I've wanted since last year. I was pretty vocal on that. Fuck, where do you find flaws in that? So good with ball in hand. The power, the running game would be elite. And defensively, they are all mahi dogs. So I would love to see those three all together at once in the black jersey. I thought Umanga Jensen was really good in this game, filling in the 12 as well. But I do think that Higgins injury will hurt them in the big games where they might lack a bit of his punch. Well done to the Canes, though. They knew what they needed to do going into this game to ensure that they were locked into the playoffs, regardless what happens against Moana this week. Not easy to go to Queensland and get the chockies against a good, fast, expansive style of play red side, and that's what they did. So you got to tip your hat to them. Chiefs Moana. Shit, this was a tough watch for Moana fans. 85 points to 7 it finished up with the Chiefs. Just on song, really. They won the physical battle up front, set the tone early, won every collision, and then I think it just unfolded from there. And I think, in a way, Moana beating the Blues the week before was potentially the worst possible outcome for them heading into this game. All of a sudden, for the first time in their franchise's history, there was some expectation in the public, in the media, about them going into this game against the table-topping Chiefs. They were the only New Zealand franchise that they haven't knocked off in their history. So all of a sudden the narrative became, can Moana do it? I'm backing Moana. Get on Moana. Whereas the week before against the Blues, it was more a, how cool would this be? Fairy tale. They beat their big brother type of scenario. And I'm not sure if that favoured Moana. Whereas this week, going into this game after a cricket score put on them, I think it shifts back to that underdog mentality, which I think will be great. It also meant that coming into this, the Chiefs, there was no complacency about them. There was no way they were going to take this Moana game lightly, and it started from the onset with the forward pack. I thought Simon Parker, Wallace Satiti, they set the tone. Unreal. Wallace looks like he's bulked up, got a few kilos added to his frame. He's so powerful with ball in hand. Simon Parker, one of the most underrated forwards in the competition for me. I reckon he is someone that Razor will be keeping an eye on too. Someone like that Ethan Blackadder type of mould, just a workhorse. Ethan Squire, those type of players. You know what you're going to get. Their floor is a 7 out of 10. Their best is a 9 out of 10, but they just produce that so consistently. He loves doing the tough work too. And then when you got a backline like they do, so deadly from 9 to 15, the bounce of the ball, it just seemed like it all went their way. Talking to Shooter post-game, he just said everything they tried to do, it felt like they just executed it perfectly. And you have those days in rugby where it feels like you can do nothing wrong. But Cortez Ratana, outstanding. D-Mac, we know how good he is. Another usual performance from him. I thought Quinn Tupaia was unreal. The Form 12 in the competition at the moment for me, alongside Tavatawa Nawa. I think Quinn's been outstanding coming back from that ACL injury. This is the first time he's been able to put together a consistent portfolio of minutes, and he's another one putting his hand up. Of course, that back three, deadly as shit. And Moni, very good, but he probably got overshadowed by the other two, and Sean Stevenson and Leroy Carter. Another hat-trick for Bumfa. One-on-one, he's just a handful. He's so strong. As his nickname suggests, Bumfa, he just gets defenders off him left, right, and centre. And there's times where you think, oh, he's just going to draw and pass here and put one of his teammates in, but he's good enough to just do it himself. He's so elusive, and he's another one playing his way into All Black bolter potential right there. Moana, I thought they waved the white flag early too. Smart stuff from their coaching staff. You could tell this game was over well before halftime. 31-0 at Oranges. So let's pull some of our best players. I think Artie came off at the 50-minute mark. Clearly they're showing their focus is on this week. Chiefs just relentless in piling on points. And 85 points to 7. I certainly didn't have that one. In fact, I had Moana on a 13.5 line, I think it was. I was hopeful of an upset, even though I'm a Chiefs fan, just for the narrative. But well done to the home side. Just way too good. So into this week, we march 5 games to finish us off. And a quick little run through of what each of these 3 teams with their playoff hopes still alive need to happen to ensure that they book their ticket into finals footy. For Moana, they just need a bonus point win against the Canes, and I say just as if that's easy. It certainly won't be down in the tinny house. If not, they need a win, and then the Blues just to lose. Just, I say, they're up against the Tars. There's no way that happens. If they can't pull off those 2 outcomes, then they need to win, and the Blues win with no bonus point. That would still be enough to see them go through. For the Blues, they need to win Moana Pacifica to lose, or a bonus point win if Moana win without a bonus point. Then they could also get a draw if Moana lose. Basically, Moana lose, they just need a single point unless Moana get a bonus point as well. And then the Tars, they need a win, so they need to beat the Blues, and then they need Moana to lose as well. For me, I reckon you can put a line through them. So it comes down to Moana Pacifica and the Blues, and the best thing about this for Moana is that they will know exactly what outcome they need heading into this game. The Blues, the match right before them, but there still is a couple nice clashes, lip lickers too, on your Friday night before those 2 teams decide their fate. You got the Landers versus the Chiefs, 7:05 p.m. kickoff at the Sistema lunchbox. It's first versus last on the ladder, but it certainly doesn't feel like that. The Landers unlucky to get the result last week against the Satyrs, and they've lost 7 of their 10 L's by less than 7 points this season, so they've always been in with a sniff. They're a decent side that won't roll over, and I think there's every chance, if they do finish last and lose this game, that they could go down as possibly the best ever team to get the wooden spoon in Super Rugby, because I certainly don't think they are the poorest side in this competition. The Chiefs with a chance to book in the number 1 spot, secure home ground advantage through to the end of the season. They would then decide their own fate at FMG Stadium. An important game for them too. I expected them to be too good. They haven't rested any rigs, but I do think 1 to 12 Landers, they will keep it tight. I don't think Jamie Joseph will be finishing this season with a piss-poor performance, because that will put rocks under his towel for the off-season. Then we roll into the Brumbies versus the Satyrs, another second versus third clash, and this is a huge game for me. If the Landers can get the win, which the Crusaders and Brums will know that result of that game pre-kickoff, then the winner of this game could move into first. If the Chiefs do win, the winner of this one books himself a home semi-final anyway, second spot. And I tell you what, if the Brumbies can get this done at home, which I think they are a genuine chance of, then the whole dynamic of this competition shifts massively for me. The thought of having to go to Canberra for a quarter, a semi as well, rather than hosting the Brumbies in New Zealand for an away semi-final, I reckon that's a whole different ball game. Canberra's a shithole and a horrible place to go, and the style of rugby that the Brumbies play suits them playing in Canberra so much. That would really change the fate of this Super Rugby competition for me. All of a sudden, I'm saying the Brumbies are making the final. They're going to probably have to travel for it, but I would pencil them in. Any upsets then as well in the other semi, and all of a sudden they're hosting the final, which would be chaos for New Zealand sides in this competition. Satyrs, they get Ethan Blackadder back, which is a big in for them, but I genuinely think the Brumbies are in with a sniff here at underdog odds as well. We'll talk more about that in the punting segment shortly. And then Super Saturday, of course, Blues versus Tars, 4:35. Blues, They want to win. They'll be going in with the mindset of let's win with a bonus point and do everything we can in our control to control our destiny and decide what we do next week. And I think they 13 plus them for sure. Named a strong side. There's a lot of lads playing potentially their last game for the Blues and what is definitely their last game at Eden Park. Mark Talia, Adrian Choate, Harry Plummer, just to name a couple. Ricky Riccatelli, the DJ as well. These are guys, a couple of them not exactly household names, but they've been Blues stalwarts. Ricky Riccatelli, Choate in particular, they've been around this franchise for a bloody long time. Then you got Talia and Plummer, lads that have laced up for the All Blacks, some of the best in the game. They will want to send them off on their home ground with a high. I reckon cricket score on ways. Tars, yes, they have a small sniff of playing playoffs, but I don't think it's genuine, and I don't think with guys like Suali'i and co missing that they will have enough in the duffel bag to get this one done. Canes versus Moana. Moana, as I said, they'll know the playoff picture by then. They have everything to play for regardless, though. Ari Savea at home against his old side. A win here to secure them a spot in the finals for the first time in their franchise's history. That would be rugby union poetry. The scriptwriters have got this competition so right this year. Could this be the final chapter in what would be one of the best Super Rugby seasons in recent memory? The Canes, they can be so good, but on their off days, they can also operate at about 60%, and they can be so beatable. If they're slightly off, then I think Moana will take them right the way to the full-time whistle. No Riley Higgins, no Asafo Amoa. They are down on a couple troops. Moana, they look pretty full strength to me. They look ready to go. Pellegrini at 10, Tamatini at 9, Ari Savea at 7, Miracle in the flanks. Those are the names I look for straight away before I give them a sniff. Young Kyron Talmoi Folau as well. All those guys are lacing up the boots. So I think there's potential of an upset at the Tinny House and get up the mighty Moana. Fuck, I'll be praying that they can pull this one off. And then Reds versus Drua, bit of a poo slinger to end, but the Reds, they'll still want to come away with a bonus point win to control their fate in terms of their matchups and who they will play in a quarter final. Before we move on from rugby as well, shout out to the Black Ferns. Pumped Team USA at North Harbour Stadium last weekend. Looked like a great crowd and atmosphere, and I just wanted to tip my hat to two of the Sevens ladies in particular. The GOAT, the superstar, Portia Woodman-Wycliffe, 7 tries. Acted in the post-game like she didn't know she'd scored 7. Surely she was well aware of that, and I get she's incredibly humble, and 7 is a fuck ton to keep in your memory bank. But man, that's more tries than I've scored in the last 7 seasons combined. She is an absolute weapon. Some of them just on the end of great team effort. Some of them, though, individual brilliance, making something happen. Even though the USA defenders were right in front of her, she is a freak. Shout out to Georgia Miller as well. She was the second one I wanted to pump the tyres of. Her first game for the Black Ferns. We've seen her be a Sevens weapon for the last couple of years. Probably the best player on the circuit. Wearing the 7 jersey, she can literally do it all. She's physical, strong in contact, ball skills of doom. She was throwing flick passes, scooping balls up off the ground one-handed. She was just into everything. The impact of these Sevens ladies coming back into this Black Ferns side is massive. I thought all of them were outstanding on the weekend, and that's the X factor we need in a World Cup cycle to potentially allow us to go back-to-back. England, Canada, etc. Still probably the benchmark, but shit, off the back of that, I reckon we will be hot on their heels, and the Sevens girls will play a massive part in determining whether we can win the World Cup for 2 on the bounce. But I'm really looking forward to watching that competition later on in the year and up the mighty Black Ferns. Enjoy your Super Rugby. She's set to be a barnstormer. What a last weekend of code we are going to be treated to. Get up, Moana. Right, weekly wrap, short and sharp. We'll kick her off with the heartbreak for AFC. Still such a good year for them, so you don't want to be too doom and gloom. Year 1, to walk away with the Premier's plate, that is massive. A pretty disappointing end, but I think if you'd said that at the start of the season, that you'd finish the regular season in first, then go out in a semi, You'd be disappointed, but you'd absolutely take it. We have lost Moreno for next year, which is a huge blow, and I'm really keen to see how we go in year 2. Will there be second-year syndrome, or will we be able to sustain this now that teams will be so much more aware of the threat that we possess? Make it back-to-back Premier plates? That would be crazy stuff. Overall, though, what a success story the AFC have been this year, despite how sour they will be feeling at the moment. Played some great footy, had some massive wins, those derby dubs over the Phoenix. They will be memories that fans will keep for a very long time. The Port, they basically became one of the best fan bases in New Zealand sport in year 1 as well, which has been crazy. They've been selling out games at Mount Smart. They've built themselves a genuine fan base, and they've made themselves a genuine title contender in their first year of a competitive competition, which is not bloody easy to do. So well done to the full crew there. Hopefully next year they can prove that this wasn't just a one-off. A lot of people saying that extra cap, they were allowed an extra import spot, all that type of stuff. The Aussies and Phoenix fans are already barking that we will be nowhere near as good, but still it's up to AFC. I tell you what, the groundsmen at Mount Smart will be relieved that they are gone though, because shit did they do a shift overnight on Saturday to have the game ready for the Wars on Sunday. But yeah, disappointing, but still so proud of them. Up the AFC all day and already looking forward to the next A-League season. And then the NBA Finals, Thunder versus T-Wolves was a great game 4 on Tuesday. OKC, they locked down Ant and Randall, frustrated the shit out of them. Still though, the T-Wolves, their role players stepped up massively. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, then they had old Dante DiVincenzo going off as well. They took that game right down to the wire. The Wolves never gave up, but OKC, they're looking pretty unreal here after getting blown out in game 3. Shea Gilly, the old MVP, Chet, J-Dub, I'm just backing them to win a ring. They look so good at the moment. They're ferocious as fuck on D with Dort and Caruso as well. Dort will chuck you in the torture chamber and it's bloody hard to score points on him. They just suffocate. They're physical as well, and they are a complete basketball side for me. So I think they win the ring from here, and I think they wrap up this series either today or on Monday at home. Pacers up 3-1 as well, with a chance to wrap up the series against the Knicks, which is pretty crazy scenes. Huge win for them yesterday, 130 to 121 at home, and now they get 3 cracks at the cherry really, and very rarely do you see a team come back from 3-1 as well. I think it's only been once or twice. Again, have to Google it, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's rare as hen's teeth, which is fucking rare. OKC versus Pacers final. Who would have thought that? Certainly not me. Shout out to Indiana. They've been playing some bloody good ball. And coming into this playoffs, I never had them as a genuine title contender. I thought they were a team that can score in streaks and look good in patches, but they just wouldn't be able to sustain it over series and knock off some of these teams. But they've claimed some massive scalps on their way to doing it against some good sides. And fuck, they're every bit of sniff. Why not? Siakam, Halliburton, Neesmith, Nembhard, Miles Turner, all playing good basketball. TJ McConnell off the bench, the vet, adding some spark too. I'll be really keen to see how those series play out. Of course, both of them aren't over. T-Wolves and Knicks still in with a sniff. It's just hard to see either of them pull it off. But hey, would love to prove wrong, and hopefully Ant-Man and Randall can put in a much improved shift today to at least take that one to a 6-game series that I think it deserves to be. But NBA Finals fast approaching, so still plenty of basketball action to strap in. This is where the going gets tough and the tough get going. Again though, my money on OKC to claim her from here. Just think they'll be too good. All right, TIB time, and remember that Surly code exclusive to podcast listeners. This week it's Bunker, so chuck that code in, place a first, second or third try scorer bet on any round 13 NRL game, and if it loses, you'll get up to $20 back in bonus cash. Limit 1 per customer, and remember, if you do back in a winner as well, feel free to find me your slips. I've been getting multiple over the last couple of weekends, in particular on this first, second or third try scorer. A lot of people have been having some luck on some guys at juicy options too, so I love celebrating you and getting around it with you. So if you get green ticks on bet slips, fire them through to my DMs and I'll have a cheeky little beer with you. Friday night, though, Dragons taking on the Knights, $1.52 for the Drags, Knights $2.55. The Dragons have only won one of their last 4 games at Netstrata Jubilee. The Knights have won 4 of their last 6 against the Dragons as well. For your try scorers, for the Drags, Tyrell Sloan, he scored 9 tries in his last 9 games this season. Gutho, he scored 3 in his last 2 games. He's paying $2.40 here, which is pretty good value. And then Jacob Little, I reckon he's a great value option here. 4 tries in his last 5 games. Usually comes on around the 20 to 30 minute mark and then goes the distance. They push Damien Cook into lock. $5.80 for him to dot. That's a pretty good shout there. And then Damien Cook, that bloke I mentioned before, he's actually scored 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Knights, paying $5.40 here. Some good value there for the Beach Flags champ. For the Knights, Fletcher Sharp, shit was he dangerous last week. Moves back into the 6th jersey for this week's clash, but he scored 5 tries in his last 4 games, paying $2.40 as well. And then Dylan Lucas off the back of a hat trick last week. If you think he can go the lift again, he's paying $2.75. I'd actually think of him as a bit of an avoid though. Quite often when you see guys like Pepe the other week score 4, then he doesn't score the week after. It's a real highs, lows, peaks and valleys type of operation. So I'm going to be avoiding him. He does have a full arm sleeve though. Looks like a weapon, a true thoroughbred, can play centre or second row. Pretty dangerous human being. My same game multi for this one, Dragons, Gutho, Sharp, $8.11. And I'm also going to have a cheeky little side bet, a $10 swinger on Jacob Little. For your Super Saturday, first game of a triple header, you got the Titans paying $3.70, taking on the Melbourne Storm, paying $1.30. The Titans have only won 1 of their last 11 against the Storm. The Storm have won 8 of their last 9 games at Seabus Super Stadium. Titans winger Jojo Fafita, he's the pick of the lot for the lads from the GC. He scored 13 tries in his last 13 games. Then for the Storm, a few more investment opportunities in my opinion, of course. Lil Pappy, mentioned him before, 5 tries in 4 games at Seabus Super Stadium, 7 in his last 5. Didn't score against the Sharks. $1.60, slim pickings, but I reckon he's a must-have. Nick Meaney, old Eenie Meaney, he scored in each of his last 2 games, $3.10. That's some pretty good value for him. And for those of you that like patternry, like myself, I've found one for you here. Ali Katoa, he's got no try in his last 5 games, which if you're picking up what I'm putting down, that suggests he should score this week at $2.95 rugby league cents. So my same game multi, I'm going to go to Storm to hump the Titans. Strip club footy won't work against this Melbourne side. They'll be stinging off the back of that loss too. Melbourne, take them on the line, minus 11.5 into Katoa and Pepe. $6 are the best. Yes, please. What a way to start your Super Sat D. Cows, Tigers, Cows $1.42, Tigers $2.95. The Cowboys have won 5 of their last 6 against the Tigers. The Tigers have lost their last 3 straight at Queensland Country Bank Stadium as well. For your try scorers, for the Cows, Robert Darby, he's scored 6 tries in his last 4 games at Queensland Country Bank. He's also scored in each of his last 4 games this year too, so $1.67 for him screams jam. He also got engaged last week in the whole buy, so this screams a Taylor Swift love story bet. Get around him. Scotty Drinkwater hasn't scored since round 2. That is crazy, but he scored 7 tries in his last 9 games against the Tigers, so $2.10 is a decent shout for him. And then for the Tigers, I have a Doreen Bulavanaka, aka Doreen Bulla. He has scored 4 tries in his 4 games against the Cows, 100% strike record, paying $3. Don't mind that at all. My same game multi, I'm going Cows into Derby and Drinky at $3.75. And then for my best bet, I'm going a Derby double. Why not? Alliteration ticks every box for me. $3.20 for him to score 2 or more. He's also a pretty good shout, I reckon, for that first, second, third try scorer swing with the old code bunker. Final game on your Saturday sees Manly take on the Broncos. Manly at home, $2.15 dogs. Broncos $1.72 favourites. They're pretty lucky to go in as favourites for me. Manly, they've won only 3 of their last 10 games against the Broncos though, as I mentioned. And the Broncos, they head to 4 Pines for the first time in 11 years. Pretty damn wild. Manly, they've conceded 98 points in their last 3 games on home soil, and they've also lost the last 3 straight at that ground, which used to be a bit of a fortress. It's really fallen apart for them this year. For the Seagulls, Lockjazz Tavanga, great friend of the show, heck of a human being, ex-Warrior, his 150th NRL game, so let's clap for him. A massive knock right there. He's paying $11. Get around him, the bald eagle bet. That would be huge if he could cross for a milestone meaty. Interesting to note too, Broncos concede majority of their tries through the middle third of the paddock. Shout out to Blocker Roach and Mick Innes with the old middle third. Corey Parker as well, I believe, a big fan of that phrase. I reckon this is the perfect game for a bald eagle bet for the Broncos. Selwyn Cobbo, 6 tries in his last 3 games against Manly. Hasn't scored in his last 5. Back on the wing. $1.94 for Cobb & Co to salute. Don't mind that at all. My best bet for this game, Jazz, $11. I am on him. My same game multi though, I'm going Cobbo into Burbo and either team 1 to 12. $13.96, pretty juicy odds. Super Sunday kicks off with the lip licker, the game of the week. Bunnies taking on the Wars. Bunnies 205 dogs. The mighty One New Zealand Warriors third on the ladder and favourites in this game at $1.77. The Rabbitohs have won 8 of their last 9 games against us, but you're only as good as your last clash. And as I referenced before, we gave them a pants down hiding last time at a core. 34 points to 4. Suck on that, you Bunnies fans. The Warriors, we've also won 5 of our last 6 games in Australia. The boys don't mind stamping the passport, going through the electronic gates. Customs doesn't worry them. Away from home or at the Fortress, odds are we're banking the 2 points, and that's what I'm backing us to do this week for your Bunnies. Try scorers, AJ, 27 tries in his last 25 games at this venue, has scored 4 tries in his last 3 against the Warriors as well. He's paying $1.92. And then Sione Havili, the ex-Warrior. Some say he's the hardest man in the comp to tackle. Built like a rugby league brick shithouse, a real bowling ball. Playing hooker. Last 2 games, he's dotted in as well. At big odds, he's paying $6 here. So maybe that's one for a bit of a spite bet up against his old team. Seems like everyone who is a Kiwi or has played for the Warriors before goes ape shit against us. So factor that in. For the Wars, RTS, 6 tries in his last 7 games at a core. Dotted against the Bunnies last year. $1.92. Also, keep an eye out on Murata if he does start, if they avoid that switch and moving Lecker into the starting lineup, him into the bench prop spot. Then $5.75 for him on that edge is good value. If they do switch him up though, Lecker, $7.25. The Bunnies are conceding a lot of tries on that edge, so that'll be a good shout. And then finally, Lukey Met, LM7, hasn't scored in 2 games. That's a watch from me. $2.80 you can get for him. Some pretty good value. My same game multi for this one, I'm going to run Met into a Roger, into a Waz, $6.29. You want to boost her up, go Warriors 13 plus. Fuck it, why not? Sunday footy, you gotta love it. After that, Panthers versus Para. Panthers $1.62 favourites despite being last. Para paying $2.30. The Panthers have won 4 of their last 6 against the Eels. The Eels have won 3 of their last 4 against the Panthers at Combank though, and the Panthers have lost all 3 of their games at their temporary home ground this year. It of course is the Eels' home ground too, so this is a bit of a Mexican standoff, almost the winner takes all at Combank this weekend. The commie is up for grabs. Eels are on a 2-game winning streak, Panthers coming 17th. Just love repeating that because it just seems bizarre to me. For the Panthers, their try scorers, Brian To'o, 10 tries in 13 games against the Eels. Dylan Edwards, the Ghost, 4 tries in his last 6 against Para if he backs up. Blaze Talangi, another pattern bet here too. He went try, no try, no try in his last 4 games again. Hopefully you've worked that one out. Try here would make it the last 5 straight for some patterns. $3.10 against his old club. Book him in for the Eels. Zachy Boy Lomax, the low job. 1 game back for them. Scored a double. Has scored 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Panthers as well. If he backs up at $2.10, then that is a good shout. Dylan Brown has scored in each of his last 3 games. No coincidence. Moses comes back. He hits his straps. No Moses last week. It was Footy Dean, but still he stayed in the try scorers circle, which you love to see. Knights fans probably drooling at the thought of potentially scoring some more points with the hot boy in there next year, but $3.10 for him, pretty decent. And then a value play, Joash Papali'i off the bench, $8.25. Not sure where he comes on and plays, but he's a gun. Scored on debut last week. Bit of bicky around him. $8.25. You'd have to think if he does come on, it's around the outside backs or maybe a bit of a roaming lock type of role, but they'll look to use his speed. $8.25 for a legit try scorer. I reckon that could be too much to pass up. My same game multi for this one, though, I'm going Lomax into Blaze. Either team 1 to 12, $10.17. And then your final game of the round, doozy. Roosters $2, Raiders $1.82. Should be a great game this. The Roosters have only won one of their last four at Allianz this season. The Raiders have won 3 of their last 4 against the Roosters as well. For the Chooks, try scorers, James Tedesco, he's scored 6 in his last 7 games against the Green Machine. He's paying $2.40 here. Teddy, spite, Origin, missed out, 32 years old, playing some great footy, loves getting his ass crack out. That's a pretty good bet. Mark Ngawanganituasi, he's scored 6 tries in his last 4 games. Got to factor in Marky Mark. He's almost a Craig Fitzgibbon on my bet slips every week at the moment. For the Raiders, the Roosters, they're conceding the majority of their tries through the middle of the field. That screams second rower season to me. Huddy Young, he hasn't scored in his last 2 games. Due, if he backs up, $2.45 like that. Zach Hosking, son of Mike, $4.10. Also one to factor in. Hot Tamale, would tip him out, but after he dogged us last week, he can well and truly get tucked. So my same game multi is either team 1 to 12. Think it's going to be tight into Marky Mark and Huddy Young at 7 of the best. Super Rugby, Landers 450 favourites. 450 underdogs. Fuck me, that would be some juicy markets. Chiefs, $1.18 favourites. One-way traffic on the betting markets. I like the Chiefs. I do like them 1 to 12 though for a little bit more value. Landers, fueled off the fact that they'll go into Mad Monday off the back of this game, possibly 4 or 5 days on the steam. Nothing brings a team together than the anticipation of a full send. Spate Summit's getting deleted left, right and centre. So I reckon the Chiefs win in a tight run. Leroy Carter, Cortez Ratama, probably your picks for your slips in terms of try scorers. Brumbies, $1.97. Crusaders, $1.80. Danger alert. I'm going to get on the Brums here as dogs, and I'll get on them 1 to 12 as well. Juicy stuff. Alternative line, probably the safest way to go. But I just reckon Brumbies at home, despite the Satyrs getting a coupley back. Yeah, I'll go the boys at Canberra. Why not? Fuck it footy. Upset time. Let's tip that in. Blues $1.06. Tars $7.50. Not backing the upset in this one. Blues 13 plus at $1.37. That's the pick of the bunch for me. Wicked wingers and hooker bets as your try scorer options. Canes $1.25. Moana $3.70. This is one where it's tempting for the upset. The line is 11.5. Moana plus 11.5 to me. Way too good. If you're offering me $1.90 for that, I'm taking that every day of the week and twice on a Saturday, and it's lucky that it is a Saturday because I am scoffing it up. I also like Moana 1 to 12 at $5. And if you're really keen, you're on the Moana train like I am. Canes halftime into Moana full-time, paying $11. We've seen so often this year. Moana, slow to start, but in the fight. Second half, they really turn it up another notch. So you back the Swirls to go into Oranges up at the Tinny House off the back of a spirited 40 minutes. Let's say 15 points to 10. Then Moana, flip the switch, crank her into 5th. The Venga bus kicks into gear and the boys come home over the top, book themselves a spot in playoff footy. If I sold you the dream right there and I told you you'd get $11 for it, how good is that? I'm going to have a cheeky little tenner on that for sure. Get up Moana. And then Reds versus Drua. Reds $1.12, Drua $5.50. Who really cares, to be honest? I'll be backing in the Reds there. So a couple little upsets hopefully coming up this week in Super Rugby. Some good value around that. Plus some big games in the NRL. Some Daryl toughies to pick as well. Some juicy try scorers for lads backing up for Origin too. It's hard to negotiate and navigate this period so often, but back your gut, punt with your heart, gamble responsibly, do so through the TAB, and hopefully she's a lucrative weekend for you. All right, that's another episode of Surly in the Box. Remember to use that TAB code BUNKER this weekend when having a punt on your NRL action. First, second, third try scorer, any NRL game. If they don't score in the first 3, you'll get your money back in bonus cash up to $20. So good luck there. Enjoy all the sporting action, Super Rugby. This is it, the final round before the playoffs. So many ramifications, so tuck into those games. The Mighty Warriors, post-Origin footy in the NRL, that should be good shit as well. Your NBA playoffs, still plenty to watch this weekend. Have a couple cold ones, tell your mates you love them, and I'll catch you back out next Thursday. How bloody good.